Savage Dragon 90 from August of 2001. Striking image on the cover with the all black and then reverse white logo. Dragon's old pal Frank Darling telling him, "She's dead, Dragon, and you killed her." So who did he kill? Let's find out. First, it's important that I tell you that Josh Eckhorn feels like a natural woman before we get to this issue titled Homecoming. Let's see, Eric Larson, writer and artist, Chris Eliopoulos, letterer, Ruben Rude, and Abel Motown, colors. So last we left off, Dragon was teaming up with Neutron Bob, this bad guy who had robbed a bank in hopes of getting cash to assist in taking down Sebastian Khan, aka Cyberface. So the unlikely pair defeated the deadly duo in Detroit, and now they are headed to Chicago to recruit the Vicious Circle gang in their efforts. Dragon narrates the story in these captions, filling in whatever expository details, along with this conversation with Neutron Bob. So there's been like a recent plot device kind of used where Dragon will have someone to talk to from the previous issue so that all the necessary plot details can be discussed between the two characters in a natural manner instead of using excessive thought balloons and captions. We had Annie a few issues ago. We got Neutron Bob here. There was like a cartoon hobo last issue. But anyway, Chicago is pretty fucked up, and it's going to be tough to talk a violence gang into overthrowing a dictator like Cyberface, especially when he's got eyeballs on the dragon and can summon a swarm of flying saucers to attack our guys here. Neutron Bob actually ends up being a valuable ally. He covers for the dragon, laying down some firepower just in time for them to find refuge in a nearby building. But a couple of missiles take a hard right turn into that doorway, and they blow up the building that the guys are in. This gorgeous explosion. Chris Eliopoulos lettering the hell out of this splash page, really selling the massive destruction with some retro flair here. So Larson has been utilizing a 12-panel page-like grid for the issues here. And this one, it's all blacked out. So you can kind of simulate Dragon digging out of the rubble, breaking through the light, revealing Rock and Widow and the Shrew and Beast Boy and Feasel all on the other side here. The Underground Freaks, formerly Dragon's teammates on the Special Operations Strike Force, the SOS. And Rock says that he thought Dragon was dead. Our guy's getting the same reaction that Snake Plissken got in Escape from New York. And not only does it turn out that Rock has never met Dragon before, but in this reality, he's a coward. He sends Beast Boy and Feasel to go help find Neutron Bob in the rubble. But that's about as far as Rock is willing to go. He doesn't believe that Cyberface can be easily defeated, and he'd rather hide safely underground. So Dragon is left no choice but to continue his journey alone through the underground tunnels. We got this creep hanging out up there on the ceiling. Don't know what the story is with that guy. But anyway, Dragon goes through the tunnels and he turns the corner straight into the Demolisher right here. Pretty badass looking villain. Though fans can't help but notice some similarities to another classic Hulk villain, the Abomination. Larson admits that he could have tinkered with the design a little bit more, but he has deadlines to keep, so this is what we ended up with. And Demolisher here starts beating the crap out of the Dragon and tells him that he's been waiting for this opportunity. So during the battle, we find out that Demolisher was transformed into the man he is today by the Creator, a.k.a. Johnny Redbeard. We've heard that name before. But he became Demolisher in order to gain the strength to defeat the Dragon and extract his revenge. Revenge for what exactly? Apparently, we've met this guy before. So the Demolisher used to be Dale Fisher. That was the firefighter who was dating Officer Alex Wilde many issues ago. Anyway, he says that Dragon took Alex away from him, and the fight continues. So Demolisher ends up getting tossed into one of these pillars of fire, but he walks out pretty much unscathed. It's one tough SOB. So him and Dragon exchange blows again, which leaves both combatants unable to continue, and they both fall down for the double KO. But before the 10 count is finished, a crowd gathers around these guys, a crowd that includes Frank Darling. That's a stroke of luck. Small city, I guess. So Frank gets Dragon back to the store that he owns. Dragon wakes up. Frank reveals that he's lost an arm. And he also reveals that Officer Alex Wilde is dead. And Dragon killed her. So back in issue 17, 16 here? This is the possessed storyline where Dragon was possessed by the Wicked Worm, just causing unimaginable destruction. And he was ultimately stopped by Mace. And so in this new reality, nobody stopped the Dragon's rampage. So as a result, Officer Wilde was killed. What a bummer. So that's it for the main story, but let's kind of pause here and take a moment to recalibrate. So it's been well over a year since Dragon has entered this savage world, an experiment of sorts to possibly bring in new or lapsed readers and a creative fresh start for the series and for its creator, Erik Larsen. So in this current, is the current storyline less or more complicated than the old continuity? You know, in the effort to kind of simplify things, it still feels fairly complex. I'm not mentioning every single story beat, but to fully understand what's happening in this book, I feel like there's references to characters that we haven't seen for like 30 or 40 or 50 issues. And so would that be overwhelming or confusing to a new reader? I can't objectively say because my perspective is skewed considering hindsight and this reread and stuff. And I read the original books when they were coming out. So I'm mostly drawing from the fan reactions in the letters pages of Fin Addicts. But even that's kind of a limited sample size. That's readers who are writing into the book here. So anyway, let's get to these. Not much from Larsen up here, but he mentions there was a screw-up last issue that resulted in some lengthy letters getting reprinted twice. So to make up for it, Larsen is publishing letters here that got bumped from the last issue, mostly response to issue 88. And plenty of letters in this one, including many asking about the upcoming Image 10th Anniversary book, which will include a story by Erik Larsen, which he says will be the long-awaited origin story of Savage Dragon. And some fans are against including this story outside of the pages of the main book. You know, why should they have to buy an expensive hardcover book to get the story that's in this comic, basically? And Larsen promises that the story will be reprinted. He just doesn't know when or where. Also, some fans ask why Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee were excluded from the anniversary book. And Larsen says that there were discussions about including those guys, but ultimately they decided to reward the people that stuck around and didn't sell out. You know, the guys who continued to carry the Image banner all this time, it's only right that they be celebrated for that. Let's see, that's about it for the letters. We have our new backup comic, Wacky Snacks. The minuscule villain Loblo laments his addiction to these snack cakes, and he's in a supervillain support group. These guys are constantly having their plans thwarted by heroes, tempting them with wacky snacks. And now Loblo can't take it anymore. He burst out of the room, on to find more fruit pies. We got Dragonbert by Carl H. Similar theme to the last comic. We got some therapy sessions here for the Sharkman Mako. And some more wacky hijinks ensue. That just leaves the advertisement on the back cover for the re-release of the first Savage Dragon trade paperback, Baptism of Fire. This is where it all began. And this is where it ends for today. Next week, issue 91 and the Return of Rapture. Adios.